What's up guys, Ronaldo here and welcome. Now I tested all of these different anniversary heroes that are about to come to global in depth. I tested all of them in depth and let me tell you, some of these guys go absolutely crazy, while some others are kinda okay, but they're not as good as you might expect, but they're all overall valuable heroes that will provide value to your account. And with that said, which of these heroes should you look out for, and what do you expect of the future of Watcher of Realms? I will take into consideration for this ranking not only the current state of the game and how they would rank now, but how they will evolve into the future. Cause I've played a lot of gachas nowadays. I know how the cycles work, and I know that some of these heroes will actually have so much value in the future, while some others won't get that many benefits. And with that said, let's get into the ranking and also what I learned through the testing of these heroes and what I can tell you guys how they will have their value in the future. I have some really interesting points about all of them actually. So stay tuned if you're interested in certain heroes. Especially I would recommend Anora. Just listen in there what I have to say. Go to the mark where you want to listen to and listen to what I have to say about that certain hero, because they all have some interesting things going for them and some interesting things that will happen in the future that will skyrocket the value of some of these heroes. Enough said, let's get into the rankings. And I will showcase you some fight examples how these characters work. And first up, like I said, they're all good, but on 7th place I have Jeera. And the people who saw my video on her be like, what? She's 7th place, even though she hits for 2 million without the buffer? That's right. And the reason why she's 7th place, I can show you guys real quick if we go into that AMR fight real quick, right? Let's just go and take her there, and then I can explain the reasoning for her positioning here. So we have her in there. And Jeera being 7th place doesn't necessarily mean that she's a bad character. It just means that the other characters are just that good, really. It's just that simple. So Jeera, the thing with Jeera is that she has nice abilities, right? She has an amazing counterattack, as you can see here. The problem really is, where are you gonna use that counterattack? And I'm looking into the future and the future value of it. And it's all burst, it's all DPS at the moment. And the more DPS the better, right? Whereas she has quite a long wind-up time until she gets that counterattack going. As you will see right next here, finally here comes the big hit, right? And that's a bit of her issue. She will be specific about where she can be used. She will be great, which is good, but she's not gonna be essential, right? Because I believe she will have other heroes that can do what she can do, whereas some of the other heroes in this list do not have that many replacements or replacements at all for what they can do. So this is why out of all these 7, she is number 7. She's coming with Praetus, but it doesn't make her a weak character at all. I think she has value in Arena thanks to her being with Praetus. She has value in Gear Dungeon 5 where I tested her, in AMR, in all the melee content, right? But next up, we have one that you guys might have thought is way higher, but isn't. And that is Helga. Now Helga we can test here on AMR 18 as well in a second. And Helga is attack speed based. So you want to stack some attack speed, and you want to, cause you are getting more attack speed because you have an attack speed amulet here. You want to have 2 attack pieces here, right? And this is why you lose out on crit damage, but she makes up for it right here with her passive. So she actually gains allies crit damage from allies that are within 1 tile ahead of herself. So that can be used to some certain degree to push her balance up while still getting a lot of attack speed out of her. And the thing is, she will get an artifact that will boost her, and it is not on the test server yet, but I can tell you guys that artifact is crazy. And she is still only 6th place really because of one thing and one thing only, and that is because she is shield breaking, right? She is gonna be a master in shield breaking capabilities. she will be goated for the Styx codex. As you can see, look at these hits. She's like a machine gun. She's absolute machine gun. Of course, these hits don't hit hard, and that's a bit of the issue, and that's why she is on the currently 6th place. She will be amazing for Styx, but the reason why she's over Jeera is because in future content where things get harder, it's always like that in gachas. In future content, when things get harder, there will be more enemies like the Styx boss that have these shields that you need to break, and there might be multiple lanes you need to cover to be able to break these shields, which will make her value even higher. If it just were for the Styx, I'll be honest, I don't rate her. At the moment, at the release, when she comes out, I think she's overrated. I think for just Styx, I don't rate that much. I don't rate it be great for one codex. That's not that crazy. Her faction doesn't allow herself to be the absolute unit that she would like to be in single target, because her faction is not that crazy in single target yet, but that can change, of course. And the real value is not her damage, it's just the shield breaking, and the shield breaking value will get higher with time, which is why she's 6th place. And the 5th place will be, to many of you guys, a surprise, myca. So myca is not any higher, and I go over it right now. Why is myca not any higher? I can just showcase you my problem with myca. So the myca thing is, she's probably the most versatile hero out of them all, right? She hits good, she deals good damage, she can ignore some defenses, she can apply a lot of burning, she breaks shields, and she does magic damage as well. She's a ranged hero as well, so she has many places to be, right? She can be used in Guild Boss, in Guild Boss 2. She can be used in Gear Dungeon 2. She can be used in the Arbiter of Frost Codex. As you can see, she has many use cases, and I tested her in many different use cases, and I want to showcase you one specific example. Alright, so what I want to showcase you guys is how strong is myca compared to the likes of a Hex, right? Because that's what he or she actually will have to compete in the end. That's the kind of units that you will need to be able to compete with in the end. So we're going to take a look. Hex, when he's here on that spot, he will be able to one-shot the incoming clone of Volca during her time she stands there. So let's take a look at myca, how well she does here. And as you can see here already, she is hitting, but she's not hitting hard enough. She's not hitting hard enough, and there we go. She got half of the damage done during her burst, and that shows her burst, and that shows my issue with myca that I have throughout everything. That is really, she is great in many pieces of content, right? But she's nowhere the best. She is a jack of all trades, master at none. She's not gonna keep up with the top damage dealers of the likes of a Hex, a Silas, and whatsoever. So damage wise, you're not gonna use her in the complete end game. Then in terms of burning application, that's nice. That's nice to have. Good usage there. The thing is, do you really need her extra for some extra burning? Sure, you can do it, but most likely you will have enough units already that can apply burn. They can apply burn, right? So where I see it is in the codex, but come on, we're talking about real stuff, not just the codex here. And then the shield break, while amazing, Setram, once he unlocks his A1, which I assume many of you guys will have or will eventually get because he's been in so many raid ups, is just infinitely better in shield breaking and has more range than her. And he also can break other shields as well, right? So she is good in many pieces of content, she just doesn't excel anywhere, and that's a basis to fail, because this means when you are released and you're not the best at something during your release, you're not unique at something during your release, you're just going to get power crept even further, and your future is not going to be special, because some of these other heroes that are going to come up here, they have unique abilities that will get them bonuses during their future, whereas she really has her burning and her shield breaking, but both of it can be replaced. So she's nice, but she doesn't excel anywhere like crazy. She's not an essential, and this is why I don't have her higher than number 5. And on 4th place I have ymiret. And ymiret during release will be weaker than myca, guys. I can tell you that. During release, myca will have more value. So why am I putting ymiret higher? Well, I'm talking about future. I've played so many gachas nowadays. I know exactly the cycles. And in the future, there will be more buffs and debuffs coming. That's just how they make the games harder. And guess what? I don't value ymiret's damage that much. Of course, the damage is nice, but it's nothing crazy, nothing special, right? It's not like some game-breaking, insane, crazy damage. No, her damage is only really crazy during her ult. The thing I really value about ymiret is freeze. I think CC will get more valuable in the future. And the other thing that I value a lot is freeze immunity for herself or himself and allies. That's huge. That's huge. Because like I said, in the future there will be units that, or content where you're getting locked out of using your ultimate, or your heroes get frozen, and so forth. And to have that freeze immunity, it will help. It will help. And another thing that I value is, of course, the ancient blood, the faction that ymiret is in. All right, being able to profit from any lore bonus is amazing. Being able to have just a morale bonus for your entire team is amazing as well. It's not the damage, it's the faction, the freeze, and the freeze immunity that I value a lot, and I see as something that will have more value in the future and will be actually valuable, which is why I think this is something unique. Whereas myca just has places to get power crept, ymiret is here, and she will, or he will, get stronger over time. Next up, 3rd place, and now we're getting to the top. Now we're getting to the top. Anora. I think Anora is underrated, guys. Because if we look at this, of course, the gear wasn't that crazy, right? She had the best gear here. But you can already see this is Anora's damage output here on gear rate 1, and she's dealing this much damage without any buffers. And of course, without any buffers, she's the best hero, right? And that's a big thing. That's a big thing, because there's one issue that people like to talk about with Anora, and I agree with, and that is the rage problem. But looking into the future, that rage problem will be less and less a problem. Why is that the case? The problem now is that she can't really get rage from the likes of Elowen, right? But her damage is great, her overall self-sufficiency is great. Just the only thing that sucks for her is the rage. And the thing is, when a hero is overpowered, a game will always do things in the future to nerf that hero without actually nerfing them. You see it in all the gachas, in all the kinds of games. For example, even here with Boreas, right? You saw Gear Dungeon 1, they made them freeze immune, specifically to nerf Boreas. So they can also do things against Elowen in the future. And it's mainly the Elowen, and they will do it because of her strength. They will find ways to nerf Elowen and to make that rage region problem a lesser problem. And on top of that, her artifact that she will get will be able to make her self-generate rage, so it becomes even less of a problem. And she is really self-sufficient, and we've seen the meta evolve into more self-sufficiency. We've gotten with the Gear Dungeon more and more content where there's multiple lanes of attack where you need to defend, and you can't place a Dolores for every single hero. You want a hero that is able to actually kill without needing a Dolores, and that's where some of the likes of an Anora comes in, and that's why I believe she will shine in the future, because she is that kind of hero that can take care of lanes on her own without needing a buffer, and that's amazing. And it's not like she's only buff immune, right? like I said, there will be more and more debuffs added to the game. Now thinking of it, she might even be the she might even have the highest upside of all of them in the future, actually. And there will be more and more buffs and debuffs coming in the game. And she's also immune to most debuffs, right? So she's not just immune to buffs, she's immune to debuffs as well. So she's really, really powerful in my opinion, and she has a huge upside. We'll keep that in mind about Anora. Then these two, I think these two are super hard and they're super close to each other. I think during release init will be better, but I just believe in Lucius. So init yeah, init second place, Lucius first place. So init, amazing hero, and he also has a huge future ahead of himself. First up, why is he amazing? First things first, when you're an arbiter, you're automatically amazing. That's just how it is. You're part of the Praetos faction, and being able to be part of the Praetos faction while dealing massive amounts of damage. He's not just a buffer, he deals a lot of damage himself and amplifies the damage of a lot of heroes at the same time. I tested it and it's amazing. It's really amazing. So he can shine in these arbiter dreams, for example, even for Jeera, for Guild Boss 2, right? Or in the future where you need to cover multiple lanes, he can buff multiple heroes of multiple lanes because of his insane buff range. That's something Dolores can't in the future. And like I said, we get more and more content where you need to be able to hold multiple waves with strong units. So that's another big thing for him. You can amazingly use him in arena with Praetos, right? Amazing stuff there as well. And what you have to consider here is when his damage will fall off, because DPS in a game like this, in all the gachas, they will always get power crept. You've seen it in One Piece Treasure Cruise back then. You've seen it in, for example, you see it in Genshin Impact, for example, but what hero in Genshin Impact stayed on top of the meta? That's right, Bennett, a supporter. And the same thing is here as well. Which heroes did stay on top of the meta since a release and got even more valuable? Were Dolores and Eloin and buffers like that, and Hollow and so forth. It's always the supports that they don't get power crept that easily and quickly, because most of the times in gachas they are at the beginning really strong, and he's one of these supports. So once his damage gets power crept, the good thing about him is you can just rebuild him into a support. You can just say, okay, well, his damage is not relevant anymore, but his damage amplification is still. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna revamp my init, and from building him like a DPS, I start building him in a morale set. Give my team even more damage. So he has a bright future ahead of himself. Init, I think, is great, and I will showcase you something insane about Lucius in a second. So first up, what you guys need to know about Lucius is that he's an exorcist. He makes exorcism, does exorcism with his ultimate. And with his ultimate, he dispels buffs such as the shield increase from Guild Boss 2. You see where I'm getting at? And that's his exorcism. But if he doesn't use his ultimate and he doesn't perform his exorcism for a long time, he becomes possessed by the demons himself and enters a demonic stance for a while. And during that stance, he has one of the highest, if not the highest, burst windows in the entire game. That's right, you heard me right. It is even higher than the likes of a Silas burst window, and I can showcase you guys here at stage 18 how strong it really is. And the crazy part about that, guys, is that burst window is not the reason why he's up there. So you will see his burst window is absolutely nuts. It will be one of the highest in the game, and that's not the reason why he's up here. The reason why he's gonna be up here is his ultimate. And during your ultimate, you have a bit of a DPS loss because the ult burst window can't just look at this damage. It cannot keep up with that. He shreds, he amplifies his damage, he shreds damage. Look at him. He just goes and goes. It's mental. Without power of dominance. That's without power of dominance, guys. It's absolutely crazy. But his ultimate, the crazy thing about his ultimate really is the buff dispelling. Huh? And like I said, buffs, debuffs will come more. You know the theme. That's how gachas evolve. And that buff dispelling will get more and more valuable. And they even changed it. So he can actually do 4 buffs. He can get rid of 4 buffs during one ultimate. Imagine that. And that is crazy. And not only that, during his ultimate, right? During his ultimate, he has a huge look at him. He has huge chances to regenerate his own rage. And with some rage regen and everything, with a low cost ultimate, his ultimate has such a high uptime. It's actually crazy. And because of his high uptime on his ultimate, it is also one negative point about it. And that is because his ultimate needs high uptime, because otherwise he will just lose all his rage when he gets in demonic stance, right? Because of his ultimate having high uptime and the demonic stance having low uptime, even though the demonic stance burst window is so high, most of the time you're good with going with his ultimate, because by the time you get a demonic stance, you've already made like 1 or 2 ultimates happening, or not 1 and 2, but 1.5 ultimates, quote unquote. Like you pop the one ult and you're already almost at the next one ready by the time you get your demonic stance. So and that's the thing about his ult. The demonic stance, the problem is it doesn't have that much uptime, but even though it doesn't have uptime, it still has value in certain hard content where you need a little burst. And the real main thing is that buff dispelling is mental. It's gonna get stronger with time. It's not gonna be only good for Guild Boss 2. I already use Watchers for my Guild Boss 2 team because they're already crazy. They have a lot of utility. And one thing as well that is even going to profit him a lot is that Watchers will get a strong Lord that is going to be hard hitting, and they become relevant. They're getting to a strong point. They're becoming a really good faction, and he's one reason out of them, but not one of. But they have many building blocks, and they get a new Lord, and he has a lot of potential. He has a lot of potential, guys. I'm hyped. I think especially the upper 3 are gonna be extremely valuable, and then ymiret's freeze immunity will also have some value, and these other ones will also have some value, but not as crazy as these upper 3 for sure. That was it from my side. Hope you have a bit of understanding what you want to look for in your heroes in the upcoming banners as well. I will make some videos what you should pull for, of course, as well. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, because word in the streets is it will boost your summoning luck. And as we all know, with the upcoming banners, you can all use it, so can I. I'm Ronaldo, and I'm out. Peace.